Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Learn and Heal. We were discussing the second unit, Understanding the Learning Disabilities. Today, in the lecture 3, we'll be discussing about different approaches to identify children with learning disabilities. First of all, we'll try to understand the reasons of learning disability. The first one is heredity. If your parent is having some learning disability, there's a better chance that you also will be having that kind of difficulties. Then you can say the problems during pregnancy and birth. You can say that child can get injured during pregnancy, or if your mother is drug addict or alcohol, that will affect the child. Then low birth weight also will be getting affected. Premature or prolonged labor is one of the reason for this one. Then the accidents after birth, it may be head injury, it may be exposure to poisons and all. And you might have seen one incident in Kerala, endosulfan tragedy, because this is the result of endosulfan tragedy. So if they are exposing to that kind of chemicals, of course the learning disability will happen. Now we will see different approaches to identify children with learning disabilities. The first one is cognitive approach, the second one is sensory approach, third one is disability based approach, and the fourth one is society based approach. Let us start with the first one, cognitive approach. We can identify the brain development through this approach. Within a 1 month of teaching period, teacher can be able to identify which one is the top student, who is the average student, who are the slow learners. These all things teacher can easily identify. How? Based upon the mental ability. Teacher only analyze the intelligence of the kid. Purely this program or this approach is based upon the cognitive ability of the child. Teacher is not trying to identify whether the kid is having any hearing problem or vision problem. This is not coming under this particular analysis. We can understand who is mentally retarded. Approach purely based upon the intelligence is happening in this cognitive approach. So here we can able to find out who is mentally retarded, who is a slow learner, who is a normal learner, academically advanced learner, and the gifted learner. These all things we can understand from cognitive approach. Then if you check the IQ of the children, a children with an average intelligence will have an IQ ranging from 900 to 110. So above 110, the kid will be having higher intelligence. Slow learners will have intelligence or IQ between the range of 70 to 90. And intellectually challenged or mentally retarded students will have an IQ below 70. If these intellectually challenged or mentally retarded students are having below 70 IQ, then a special education is essential for that particular kind of students. Discussing about sensory approach. If a student is blind, he may not be aware of the environment properly. He will not be having that much orientation skill. But remember, there will not be any problem with his intelligence. Their communication will be very good. This is an approach that is based upon the ability of his senses to identify visually impaired, hearing impaired, deaf and dumb children. Visually impaired children are neither cognitive impaired nor communication impaired. Their communication skill and their cognitive ability will be better. But when you come to the orientation skill, they will be lacking their abilities in orientation of environment. He will be unaware of his environment because he is not seeing the environment, so he cannot study the environment properly. The deaf children's main problem is the area of the communication skill. He don't know how to communicate, like what, how. He will not be having any idea about communication, but the other parts he will be fine. But the real challenge is when a kid is deaf and blind, orientation and communication skill. Here is the challenge we are going to face, how we are going to treat a kid who is deaf and blind. One, deaf people will be strong with their orientation skill, but they will be lacking in communication. The blind kid will be lacking in orientation, but their communication will be good. But if a child is deaf and blind, then we have to take care of them very seriously. Then the next approach is ability or disability based approach. This approach is just checking what skill this kid is having, what skill this kid is not having. That is what we are focusing in this particular ability or disability based approach. Difficulty in processing the information, problem with attention, perception, memory and encoding. And here all kind of disabilities are coming, such as speech, vision, autism, mental disorder. Next, we'll be seeing the society based approach. This approach is to identify the people with maladjusted or delinquent behavior. You will be wondering, what is this delinquent behavior? The meaning of juvenile delinquent. Severe antisocial behavior of children and adolescents is referred as delinquency. So, delinquent behavior is a behavior of a child who is behaving antisocially. So, he'll be stealing something, so he'll be robbing. This kind of antisocial behavior in children, that process is referred as delinquency, and this child is what we are calling it as delinquent. But the adult who is involving in this antisocial behavior is branded as criminals. So we can classify this into three categories: the problem children, delinquent, and criminals. Let us start with problem children. A problem children becomes delinquent, then in the adulthood he will reach to the level of a criminal. So whom we are calling it as a problem children? Let us check. A child stealing the pen or book of his classmate is a problem child, we can say. And the same child, if indulge in shoplifting or something, then we can refer him as a delinquent. Then if the same crime is done by the adult, if an adult is involved in stealing the things and all, then the society will brand him as criminal. So if we focus on this problem children, delinquent children carefully, we can avoid a lot of crimes happening in our state or country. What is the pure definition of delinquent? Let us understand. A delinquent is a minor who has been apprehended for violating the law. His act may range from stealing and destructiveness to sexual promiscuity. We have seen the Delhi case itself. There was a kid of 17 years of age who was there in the crime list. So we have to treat the students with this kind of disability in a better manner, that tomorrow he is not going to the society as a criminal. They are not sent to the jail for their crimes, but they are referred to Boston reformatory schools to teach them to live in a proper way that will benefit for the society. What are the causes of delinquency? We'll be analyzing the factors that will be causing the delinquency behavior in kids. Familial factors, environmental factors, school related factors, and personal factors are the causes for this delinquency. We'll be seeing one by one in detail. Familial factor. What are the familial factors that is making him to do the crime? Of course, the first one is utter poverty. You know, in our country, there are a lot of people, more than 133 crores of people are there, but poverty is more than 30% it seems. So now the condition is going very bad. As always we say, rich becomes the richest, poor become the poorer. So utter poverty is one of the reasons that they are committing the crime. Then uncongenial home condition and broken homes. You can say that in their home, maybe it is a house, it might not be a home, that we can say that there's not a pleasant atmosphere in their home. That is another reason. If a single parent is growing the child, then there's a better chance he will be having some problem. Unwanted children, like there will be abandoning many children. We have seen that if we look around us, we can see a lot of children, abandoned children. Unwanted children, again a big problem. Parents overprotection, no good role model. These are the major important factors that is leading the child into a delinquent. Then what are the environmental factors we can see? The friendship with antisocial element. Then of course the media. Media is there for good as well as for bad. So how they are influenced by the media is a matter. Then of course the yellow journals and blue film will affect their behavior. Almost the crimes they are doing by watching all these kind of adult videos are increasing day by day. And of course school related some factors will lead to this delinquency. Lack of orders and discipline in the school, harassment by the teachers, and forcing students beyond their capacity. Maybe a student will not be good in mathematics, but he will be good in his language. Maybe he will not be good in academics, but he will be good in sports and arts. So this will not be analyzed by the teacher and the others will force the kid to study very well and to score 100% mark. This will lead to a mental struggle in the student and they will go for this delinquent behavior. Next factor, that is personal factor. Generally males are more prone to these maladjustments. Why? Because we can see in the society most of the criminals are males. Why? Because males have given more freedom in the society. Males are over exploiting that freedom. They wanted to show something to the society. They think that society is leading them in the wrong path, so they will be considering doing anti-social activities because society is demanding them something and they don't want to give that to the society, so they started to show their anti-social behavior. That is very easy for them to show because they are socially accepted as a people who can have their own freedom. Here why females are not that much into this one, because we can say that yeah, they are somewhat restricted. So males are more prone to maladjustments and this is happening more in cities. Why this is happening more in cities means in cities the social connection between the people are not that much. So antisocial behavior of the kid or the individual will grow faster than when he is in the rural area. And in the urban slums are best place to nourish this kind of delinquent behavior. So of course they will be getting a better gang. We can say that they will be influenced by clique. Clique is nothing but a small group of people where they are ready to do anything and all the people will support that particular individual. That kind of peer groups will be there in the cities. That groups not only in the cities, that groups will be very active in the rural area too, but because of the social inactivity, because of the lack of social relationship in cities, busy life, this anti-social activities will be more in cities. And how we can reform this delinquent behavior or these delinquent kids? Other than sending them into the jails, we can send them into hostel, schools. We can arrange them proper education, we'll arrange financial help for them, we can make them join in scout and NCC kind of activities, and of course a religious and spiritual training will be very much needed for this kind of people, and faith in God will give some psychological security for that people. Promotion of healthy lifestyle is also one of the important thing that we can do to reform this delinquent kids. This is all about this particular lecture. So in this lecture we have discussed about the different approaches to find out the learning disabilities in children. In the lecture 4 we'll be discussing the role of teachers in managing students with these learning disabilities. So thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep supporting. Thank you very much.